Well, hey everybody, this is Kathy Cordell, and I am coming to you live from Arizona this morning, and we've got someone else on the line with us going to help us with the presentation too.
Hey, I'm Carrie Pena Herrera, and I'm coming to you from Florida. So we're both in some kind of hot climate for the winter.
Right, we're both in a warm place right now, several time zones away from each other, but we just love that we have the ability to be able to be with you today. And even though we're in different places and in the world, and we have this technology that can do this, so we know that there's going to be people who are going to be kind of coming in and out on this. We will put this recording up later, but we think that it's so important. If you are not on mute, we're going to ask you just to mute yourselves. Go down to the lower left-hand corner. You'll see a little microphone down there, and you can keep your picture off if you want, or you can show your beautiful face if you want to do that as well. You can put up questions in chat, but we are going to just go through this material all the way through without questions, just to make sure that we get through it in a good amount of time. So Carrie and I kind of got together and we decided it is super important, this idea of emotional health and using essential oils. And Carrie, I know you yourself have some special expertise in that. So can you just kind of introduce yourself to the group?
Sure. I believe the next slide, we have our pictures there. So this is my beautiful family when she clicks it.
I can do it. I know. I don't know why it's not advancing right now.
So I will just start. I am a mom of two boys with autism. I'm also married to my high school sweetheart. And so I have a lot of experience with the huge range of emotions that come from those little guys, as well as my own struggles with the ups and downs that come with being a caregiver. And so I think a lot of moms can probably relate to that sort of roller coaster of emotions, and essential oils have been vital to get me through just the challenging times and the day-by-day things that we deal with. So I'm very passionate about this topic.
Yeah, and I am as well. I come from a background of a medical background, but also an emotional health background. Carrie and I are both life coaches, certified life coaches. And so, we do have a little bit of expertise in this and working with people, helping people through some of their struggles in life to get to the next place. And this is my beautiful family here as well. And we have been using essential oils now for the last 4.5 years. And believe me, I have been the biggest skeptic in the room. I did not believe in this at all. I did not believe that essential oils were, I thought they were voodoo. I was one of those people. I just wasn't going to go there with it. And I started to feel my help come from a very physical perspective. But of course, when our physical being feels better, our emotions are affected as well. So from an emotional perspective, I find myself in a much, much greater place now that I'm using the essential oils and are helping other people to get into those places as well. So now let's see if I can figure this out, how to advance the slide again. You want to make sure that when you're getting essential oils, there's this huge buzz about essential oils out there, and you can find them at Walmart. You can find them at Costco. It has a huge display of them right now, like 10 essential oils for $30 or something. Don't fall for those kind of schemes. There is no way that anybody can create a certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils in a 10-pack for $30. You're going to be getting some fragrances that really won't be doing you any good. What we are talking about, and the product that doTERRA puts out, is called Certified Pure Therapeutic Grade, or CPTG. These are 100% natural, no artificial ingredients, no fragrances, no fillers. So you want to make sure it's not just a fragrance, that it is an essential oil that is from a botanical material that is not created in a laboratory, because that's what makes it safe. These plant materials, they are very, very concentrated plant materials. So you do need to have a few safety precautions when you dilute them up and use them internally. But we want to make sure, you want to make sure that when you get an essential oil, that they have been created from plants that are free of pesticides, no other chemical residues, no herbicides. because those things will be passed on to you when these pure concentrated forms of the plant are put into these little tiny bottles. And then the other thing is you want to make sure that they're potent. You want to make sure that they have all of the active compounds in there. When you buy a bottle of peppermint today and a bottle of peppermint next year, you want to make sure that that bottle of peppermint, even though it's a different batch, is going to be extremely potent and very medicinal. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is the medicinal grade of these oils. So we're just going to jump right into these emotions. If you look at this slide here, you might be going, oh my gosh, or you might identify with a few of the words on here, or you might scrawl a couple of your own words across this that you're not seeing in this. But we really are, we go through a gambit of emotions every single day. Some of them are really the highest of highs and, you know, joyful and happy. And then we can get dumped down into the lowest of lows with just a phone call. And so we want to be sure that from a perspective of just being healthy, that we can deal with these emotions. And essential oils are one of those things that can help us work through this daily stuff that we see here. So I'm going to talk to you about your amazing nose. And God created us to be just so beautifully put together, and your nose is one of those pieces. All of your other senses, so your hearing and your sight and your taste and your touch, all of those are wired through your frontal cortex, which is right here. And with those senses, you actually have a thought about that, like when you touch something or when you taste something, and then it turns into an emotion. Your nose is wired differently. So when you smell a rose or an essential oil, those aromatic compounds that are in that wonderful smelling thing go in through your olfactory senses, and then they bump up against what's called your olfactory bulb here. And that directly affects your amygdala, which is in the center of your brain, or the limbic system, which is the seat of your emotions. So when you smell in an amazing essential oil, you first have an emotion about that smell and then a thought about it. So this is why using aromatherapy for emotional use is so vitally important. So when you look over here, it says aromatic molecules stimulate the limbic system to release neurochemicals, or they're called molecules of emotion. So your limbic system here, right in here, this is the chemistry center. Your hypothalamus is right here as well, which is the chemistry center of your brain. So it really does stimulate these hormones and these other things in your body that are going to be like a cascade coming down in your body that are going to help you relax, to uplift your senses. They help you to focus. And the essential oils that you are taking, you want to, again, be sure that they are pure and they're potent, so that you get these kinds of effects in the body. Essential oils do affect the brain tremendously. I'm going to move my little guy here again so you can see this. So some essential oils are able to pass the blood-brain barrier. Maybe some of you have heard about that before when you're taking medications for periods of depression or for anxiousness, that those pharmaceutical medications cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. So they build up in the system, and they can cause some pretty severe side effects. But essential oils, the molecules are so very, very small that they can cross that. It's a protective mechanism that God put between the brain and the rest of the body, so that big molecules don't go in there and gum up your brain. I mean, it just makes sense. But essential oils are small enough to actually really affect that. So it influences your mood and emotions. It supports healthy brain function. It helps to protect your neurons. Essential oils also can penetrate cell membranes. And this is really, really important when it comes to talking about our physical health and support of the immune system, and helping us in those times when seasonal threats are really high. They also protect against stress chemicals. I'm going to be talking about that in detail, which is really fun for me, in just a couple of minutes. And then they also support proper neurotransmitter communication. So the best places to use, Carrie, I think you're going to take this one. Go ahead.
Sure. So yes, when we're talking about supporting the emotions with essential oils, applying them in the correct places is really going to help them to be more effective. This is called reflexology, and being able to place them on the points that really help to influence the emotions the most effectively. So those points would be on the back of the neck at the brainstem, or pulse points. So over the heart, think like where you put perfume, on your wrists, right where your vessels run from on your neck, and the bottom of the big toes. Those are really the points that are going to help to influence emotions most effectively.
Okay. And you'll see here, this is that nose thing that we were just talking about, right? Your olfactory, now you've all got a new term to use. Your olfactory pathways, boom, goes right into that part of the brain. Okay, so this is where I get to geek out. This is my fun place. And I just want to let you know, I am not going to talk through this slide. If you want to know more about this slide, come back and look at it later, or I will talk to you more about it if you want to chat a little bit later. But really, this is how stress affects the body. So stress is literally killing us. And we can see this when we look at this hormone cascade that happens. So when you have stress and toxic thoughts and emotions, it creates this hormone cascade that literally starts in your brain. I talked about this hypothalamus a little bit earlier, which goes to the pituitary gland, which then goes to the adrenals. It's called the HPA axis because it starts in your hypothalamus, which is the chemistry center of your brain. So when you have a stress, a negative thought, when you live in a world of negative thinking and stress all the time, your hypothalamus will be affected to release what's called CRH, which drips down to the pituitary gland, which is just right underneath the hypothalamus in your brain. And then that stimulates the pituitary to release this ACTH, which drips all the way down to your adrenal glands, which sit on the top of your kidneys. These adrenal glands are responsible for releasing cortisol and adrenaline into the body. Now, this is really good when you're running away from a tiger. This is really good when you don't want to get hit by a bus. This is really good when you want to stop your child from falling down the stairs, right? Because you're going to react immediately. But what's happening in our world is that this stress and these negative emotions are happening all the time. So this HPA axis never gets turned off. Cortisol levels go up in the body, adrenaline goes up in the body, and a lot of really bad things can start to happen in the body like this. So we don't want to turn out like her. And I know that there's some days that you just look at this and go, that's me. But when we have this HPA axis on all the time, what starts to happen is we develop cardiovascular system problems, as high blood pressure, coronary artery disease, nervous system problems, depression and fatigue and brain fog, which we're going to talk about, poor memory, the digestive system. So of course the constipation, the diarrhea, the bloating, the gut health that we just, it's just not good. And then of course, anytime that we're under stress, our immune system is going to be affected as well. So things like diabetes, cancer, asthma, allergies, these aren't things that people usually think of as immune system problems, but they really, really are. And of course, somebody who's under stress all the time is going to be the first one who is going to get sick. So if your kiddos are under a lot of stress at school, or, getting things done or not sleeping well, they're going to be the first kiddos that are going to get sick as well. So we want to be able to protect ourselves and our families from these effects of these negative, these toxic emotions. The best thing that we can do is to create a foundation of emotional health at the cellular level. And this is called the Lifelong Vitality Pack from doTERRA. So yes, we can diffuse essential oils. We can put essential oils on. We can rub them in our hands. And Those are topical ways that we can use them, but we're going to be talking about an internal way that we can use essential oils. Now, not all essential oils are to be used internally, but doTERRA has put together some really, really nice supplements for us to use. This is the adult form of the supplements called the Lifelong Vitality Pack. It includes 3 different options that are going to work in the body at the cellular level to create increased energy, cellular health, to boost the immune system, the respiratory, to help the digestive system. It includes the vitamins and the minerals that are in a bioavailable form, which means that your body can actually see them as food and uptake them 100%, which is really important. You've got your E-omegas here. Carrie's going to be talking more about the omegas and how that helps with brain health, but also alpha CRS, which helps with the proper inflammatory response in the body and to help us to not have so much discomfort and to help that muscle and that brain health. So if you are not muted, if you could just mute yourself in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a little microphone down there, and you can just click on that. Okay, take it away, Carrie.
Okay, so then these are the children's forms of the supplements that really give the foundation for overall health. It's very crucial that our children are getting vitamins and minerals. Most of them do not have the proper diet that's really needed to sustain that, as well as adults, if we're going to be honest. We're not getting what we really should be getting. So that A to Z chewable is a great overall vitamin, mineral, but it also has a cellular energy blend and a superfood blend, as well as a cognitive blend, which I believe is super important to support our children. Ooh, I'm echoing.
Yeah, I think if we could just have everybody mute, lower left-hand corner, if you can just find the little microphone down there and mute yourself.
And then next to that, you see the IQ Mega. This is something I think is often ignored in our children, but is so important. It's super concentrated. It's a yummy wild orange flavor. Does not taste fishy, but it really helps to support the brain as well as the heart and joints and the cardiovascular system. So it's very important for our kiddos. And then the one over to the right is the PB Assist Junior. Okay, guys, this tastes like a pixie stick.
Awesome.
Even the adults really love it. But we're talking about the gut, which I'm going to talk about in a little while, but really helping to populate the gut. Let's not populate the butt. Populate the gut with good bacteria that really helps to support a proper immune system, as well as brain and the emotions as well.
All right.
So, I'm going right to the brain gut right now. So, so Kathy, I think it's only appropriate that you would be the brain in this little cartoon here. So, look, I know this sounds crazy, baby, but I feel like we have a real connection here.
Yeah, they always say to trust your gut's feeling.
So you know how they say that? They do. They say trust your gut. And there's some real truth to that. We just think, oh, that just means that I feel this way. But there's so much of a connection between what's going on in our gut and our digestive tract and how it affects our brain. So if we go to the next slide, we'll look at fact number 1. I found these very interesting, that neurological diseases affect an estimated 100 million Americans every year. And then if you look at fact number 2, gastrointestinal diseases affect an estimated 60 to 70 million Americans a year. Those are awfully close, and I'm definitely talking about a correlation here because we don't know that each person has both issues going on, but they're both very highly concentrated throughout our population, and there's definitely a link. So the brain affects the gut, and the gut affects the brain. Our digestive system has a direct impact on the neurological health. In fact, 95% of the body's serotonin, which is that feel-good hormone, is in the bowels. It's not in our brain. So the intestinal lining contains 100 million neurons, which is actually more than in the spinal cord, the peripheral nervous system. So often you'll hear it referred to as our second brain. So that whole saying also, you are what you eat, it's kind of true because what you're taking in is really affecting your behavior, your thought process, and how you're functioning on a neurological level. It's quite interesting. So if you do support your gut, you're also supporting your brain. So this is the whole digestive line of supplements that doTERRA has. We won't go into each one specifically, but we have digestive enzymes and probiotics, a gentle cleansing formula, as well as the Zendocrines there are detoxifying supplements to help really get our body, what our body naturally does to help rid toxins and harmful things that are invading our bodies. And then the DigestZen line is all about comfort and soothing when we have any discomfort from digestive issues. So very complete and comprehensive to support our gut, which will in turn support our brain.
Really important. And Carrie talks from a very personal perspective on this. I hope you're okay with me saying this.
I have a whole digestive class on.
Yes. So when we get to be more of an expert on something, it's usually because we've gone through it ourselves. And I've been, Carrie, we've been friends for 10 years or something like that. And so I've watched Carrie really ebb and flow, with her gut health and her emotional health through all of this. And she's really, you're starting to figure it out.
That was a bad choice of words.
Yeah, I know. But let's just be real.
Yeah,
you're not the only person in the world who's dealt with this. And for you now to go out and just tell other people how important this is, I'm so proud of you for working through this yourself. And I know you're still in the process. We all are. But thank you so much for helping us through this today.
Of course.
Okay, so for me, this is me. Carrie gets to do the digestion stuff. I get to go back. Hang on. So the sleep stuff is a big one for me. Whoops, I did it again. So I'll just stay here. Okay, so I'll briefly tell you a little bit about my story. I got to a place in my life where I was not sleeping at all, and it was because of so real strong discomfort in the body, and I could not stay asleep for more than a half hour, 45 minutes, due to neck and shoulder issues, a bad knee. And so that's when I started to use the essential oils, and learning how to sleep for me again was a big, big deal. So Serenity is a lifesaver for so many people. And when we think about not getting enough sleep, we are grumpy, okay? Our emotions are extremely affected when we don't get enough rest. And so we need to make sure that we are getting the proper amount of sleep, because this is when the body heals. It's also when the brain heals. It's when the gut heals. And when those healing processes happen because of our sleep, we are able to much better function at an emotional level. So using this, both the Serenity oil, which I use in my diffuser, you can also use it on the bottom of your feet topically, and this one is not to be used internally, the oil, but then they have the Serenity Restful Complex, which is super important because it creates a lot of the essential oils that are very, very good for getting proper rest, but also a component called L-theanine, which is a natural amino acid which helps the body to increase its own melatonin. So if you're taking melatonin from an outside source, your body is going to say, oh, I don't need to make that anymore. And your body's going to stop creating your own melatonin, which can really mess you up. So you want to make sure that what you're doing is support your body to do the things that it's supposed to do naturally instead of replacing it. And that's what Western medication has done, is just replaced what our body is supposed to do naturally. So get your proper sleep. Serenity and Serenity Restful Complex is one of those things that when you're getting your rest, your mood is naturally going to be increased. So we want to help you kind of tune in to your emotions. I'm going to move me down here again. And there are 10 different what we would call emotions oils, but all of the oils really increase, they either uplift the mood or help you to feel like you're not having so much anxiousness. The citrus oils in particular are very good for uplifting mood. But what doTERRA has done is they have created these amazing blends where they specifically put different oils together, and they synergize the effect that they have on our emotions. So if you look at this emotions wheel, it's really interesting where you can just kind of pick what your emotion is that day. And if your emotion falls in one of these places, you're going to be able to use the oils that are within that spectrum, and they are going to be able to help you. So those, the 6 categories of oils are the mints, the citruses, the spices, herbs and grasses, trees, and florals. So what they have done is they have mixed 2 different categories, like motivate is these 2 categories here. Cheer is these 2 categories here. So just using this emotions wheel is a great way to be able to use your oils. The other ones are our old favorites: serenity, citrus bliss, elevation, and balance. These were the first 4 emotional oils that doTERRA came up with. And you can just look in the quadrant and say, hey, what am I feeling today? And how do I want to feel? So these are calming and they're soothing over here. So if you have no peace and you're stressed, balance is going to be a good one to use. If you are fatigued, if you're really tired and you just don't have any passion, you're very listless, citrus bliss would be a really good one to use. So these are just nice little charts that you can use to be able to tell which emotions oil is going to be best for you. So really quick, this is the emotional aromatherapy line with doTERRA: cheer, motivate, passion, forgive, console, and peace. And you can just almost look at the names to tell what you can do with these. They come in 2 different forms: the 5 ml, which is very, very good to either dilute up yourself if you want to, or to use in your diffuser. And the rollerball blends, which quite honestly, I use the rollerball blends way more than I use the 5 ml. They're less expensive. They're already pre-diluted for topical use, and you just use them as you would a perfume. Remember those pulse points? So on the wrists, the back of the neck, over the heart. Sometimes I'll just put it on my hand and just smell it in. So these are really, really good to keep in your purse for those emergency moments, either for yourself or with your kiddos. But Carrie's going to talk to us a little bit about how those kids' oils are used.
Yeah, this is super exciting at doTERRA, the new kids collection. So these, we're going to get into these in more detail, but doTERRA has created this kit, this cute little bag and carabiners to really help empower our children in their own health and wellness. And with the 6 different blends, they can figure out what they need to address and how they're feeling and which oil they need. And they can even ask for it by color if they can't read. So this is really great. And we'll look at these oils in more detail in a little bit.
So what's really important about what we just talked about with the stress and, going to the cellular level to support your body is the way that we think, the emotions that we have, whether they're positive or negative, and whether we can deal with stress. It's not that we're not going to have stress. It's how we react to it and how we deal with it. We're all going to have stress. It's a part of life. But when we think these negative toxic thoughts, we really do release these negative chemicals into the body. So much of our health and wellness has to do with our thought life. This is why talking about emotions is so important. But look at this happy feel-good cartoon on the, might be a little bit overboard, you guys. But really, when we do think these more positive, life-giving thoughts, when we pray, when we meditate on what is good and what is right, what is pure, what is lovely, all of those things, we start to release these positive, life-giving chemicals into our body, and we experience the true joy. We experience that feeling of love and peace that is supposed to happen. So essential oils can be a big part of what helps you. What side of the tree do you want to live on, basically? So I am going to go through these next 4 slides really, really quickly because there's just no way that we can go into all of this right away. But if you want to replay this again and write these down, definitely do. These are essential oils that are going to uplift the mood. Basically, we're going to be talking about citrus oils. You're going to see frankincense on almost every single one of these slides because it is really good for basically everything. But the 3 blends down there too, cheer, citrus bliss, and elevation, are all very good for uplifting moods. You'll also see that your omega-3 fatty acids, which Carrie talked about in the kiddos pack, and I also talked about in the Lifelong Vitality pack, are amazing. And of course, the probiotics to support your gut health so you have that proper brain-gut connection. These are great essential oils when you're worried, to calm yourself and to feel like you can lower your anxious feelings. These are important. Lifelong Vitality Pack at that cellular level is fantastic. Lavender, we know, is always very good for calming. You'll see frankincense in here, but here's these blends: peace, console, copaiba, which, Carrie, did you want to talk about this one? Because this is such a good one for you to talk about.
Yeah, I was going to talk about it in a little bit. Do you want me to go into
I'll
it now?
just wait for Carrie to talk about copaiba, because it is a miracle blend. Or it's not a blend, it's an oil. It's a single oil. But then you've got balance, and then you've got your serenity, so you're getting your proper rest and sleep as well. These are great essential oils to fight stress. So remember, we talked about those toxic chemicals. You want to help to fight those toxins that are building up in your body. Citruses are great for that. Here we see frankincense again. But here's these lovely blends that we also have to help you fight that stress. And oh, look over here, Lifelong Vitality and your probiotics. Imagine that, because when we help ourselves from the inside out, it makes everything so much better. Now we've got focus and attention, and we think about this a lot of times with kiddos who maybe have too much activity in their lives. They're not able to really focus and do their homework, or they're just bouncing off the walls all the time. But really, this is for adults as well. So again, that proper gut health is super important. Rosemary is really, really good to help with memory. Peppermint is really good, like before taking a test or something like that, because it just really turns on the brain. And you can see we can even do blends. So I love this, the Calm the Squirrel blend over here. We all know what it's like when those kids are bouncing off the walls and we're like, could you just shut up for a minute? Okay, let's all say we've all done that, okay? We can help calm ourselves, but also, Carrie, if you were to use the Calm the Squirrel blend, where would you use that topically on your children?
Well, usually when I'm trying to calm a squirrel, I can't get to their feet, I'll just say. So I'm usually swiping as they run on by, but it's the back of the neck and over the heart. And my son has even learned to come up and lift up his shirt for me, because he knows he needs it right over.
Because they just know. I know. The kids, they're so intuitive, and they really, really know what's good for them. Mm-hmm. So I know that was a ton of information in just a few minutes, but you can go back and look at those slides. And now Carrie can talk about her stuff here for the kiddos.
So going back to those kiddos, same effect, different oils. They're just perfectly diluted for our children. A little bit less intense on some of them. For instance, if On Guard is our protective blend, it's a little bit stronger of a oil, and they've now created the different blends with different oils that have the same chemistry, same effect in the body, but a little bit less, what would the word, obtrusive for a child. They really smell like, what do you say? Fruity Pebbles, you say. I think Brave smells like an orange starburst, but they do the same thing, but in kid-friendly oils. So we have Thinker, which is like our Intune, which is a focus blend, and Balance, which is our grounding oil, and Rescuer, which is similar to Deep Blue. That's really going to be great when children are going through the discomfort of growing and their muscles and joints are stretching. That's going to be really great for that. Encourage, so Brave is our encouraging blend. It's like Motivate, so really help to give them that boost when they need it. And Calmer, that's become our meltdown blend, I will say.
Calmer is a family saver.
Yes. I mean, it's intended to be similar to Serenity, which is our restful blend, which is more typically for sleep, but it's also very calming to the emotions. And so the oils in there are really going to help to bring your child down when they're upset, or if they're tantruming, whatever you need, that's going to really help to calm them down. And again, Stronger, we talked about, is really helping to support the immune system.
That's the one that smells like Fruity Pebbles. So not even close to the smell of On Guard, but amazing. Yeah. And I will tell you too, that even though they're perfectly diluted for kids, I am loving Rescuer. Yeah. So I use this, when the neck and, the back get tense, I do a lot of work at my computer. This one is really great to have on hand, and it's not as strong of a scent, like Carrie said, as like the Deep Blue would be, but It is fantastic, for those people who work in offices or just whenever. It's really great stuff.
Yeah. So again, these are just going to tell you what each of these oils do. I kind of already went through it, but immune system support and stronger, and brave is going to be for lack of confidence. Thinker is going to be for focus and mental clarity. Steady, which I love, steady, is really going to be for, overstimulation. I'm going to get into
steady for you or for your kids?
Both, but I'm really loving it for myself. When I talk about oils that are grounding, I like to say that they bring you back down to earth. So if you are like all over the place, you can't focus and you're just kind of overwhelmed, that's really going to help bring you back down. Calmer, good for sleep, but also we talked about when they're agitated and irritable, that's going to help you out. And rescuer, like Kathy just said, for tension and some aching, that's going to be fantastic.
So yeah, your kids will love these, but so will you. For use for yourself, and also how your kids will react. I've seen this meltdown oil, the should we call meltdown oil, the calmer, work like literally within 2 minutes. A little girl was over at my home and she was just all over the place. And I said, would it be okay if I try one of my new oils on her? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. I put a little bit on the back of her neck, and literally she was laying down on my counter almost asleep in 2 minutes. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Every family in America needs these oils.
Can I just say, I have a video using that on my son as well that I'm going to share eventually. But I just want to say that our kids' emotions directly impact our own, and vice versa.
Yeah. So
when I am stressed, my kids can feel it. And when they're bouncing off the wall and it's driving me crazy, it brings me down as well. So keeping both of us happy is key to have the household running.
I have often said that anxiousness is, it's like the flu.
It's contagious.
It's contagious. Yes, thank you. I couldn't figure that word out for a second. And you called me the brain. I don't think so. I need my thinker right now. But it's so true that we can control the atmosphere and the emotional condition in our homes by simply diffusing these oils and by using them with ourselves, so that we can stay calm, so that we can keep the rest of the family calm. So it's just an amazing circle that happens. But I love this slide, Carrie.
Yeah, I just wanted to go into some of the oils that are really great for children that are on the spectrum, and they're not all necessarily dealing with emotions, but I will say that when you address these 4 areas, emotions will be improved. Like we talked about on the right with sleep. If your child is not getting adequate rest, which for children on the spectrum, it's often a huge challenge. My son did not sleep until he was 6. Until we got on oils, he was not sleeping through the night. So being able to give his brain that rest so that he could function better the next day really did impact his emotions. So you can see I have oils over there for sleep. I use cedarwood and wild orange, and vetiver is kind of if they're not falling asleep, it'll help me knock them out. I'm going to be honest. But then you'll see some oils overlap. So vetiver is really good for sleep, but it's also great for focus. So along with Intune. And then I don't know why I went right to left, but that's what we're doing. Move over to the left a little bit more. You got the mood and sensory support. So bergamot is really good for helping to calm obsessions, and just thoughts and repetitive actions is really going to help with that. Balance is, again, our grounding blend, so similar to the children's steady. And again, these are my tried and true ones. The kids line just came out, and we're having so much fun supplementing with those and seeing other changes, but this is what we've been using for a few years now. Peace is really going to help with calming and anxiousness. And then copaiba also, you wanted me to talk a little bit more about copaiba. Addresses so many things. So I have it there for mood and sensory as well as neurological support. Copaiba is an endocannabinoid. So what that means is it's coming from the cannabis plant, but it's not THC, so you're not getting the high. It's not CBD oil. It's BCP, or beta carotene, if I said that correctly.
Can I just come in? Yes.
Sure.
It's not from the cannabis plant. It's from the copaiba plant. So, I mean, well, Carrie was talking about the endocannabinoid. Cannabis gets its name from the cannabinoid system that's already in the body. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
What would I do without you? So, but you are going to get a lot of the results that you would assume you would get from a medical marijuana. It's going to help with calming. It's going to help with that neurological support and throughout the body. So it's definitely going to help with affecting mood. It's really good for calming feelings of anxiousness as well.
And it's legal.
And it's legal.
In all 50 states. So from a perspective of adult use, this is extremely good for helping with a proper inflammatory response and for helping that achy joints and muscles. It is fantastic for that, as well as helping to calm. One of my friends is, she suffered from anxiousness most of her life, and she takes a drop of frankincense, which will lead right into that, Carrie, because that's your next oil. A drop of frankincense and a drop of copaiba daily underneath her tongue, and she has just had fantastic results with those. Copaiba also comes now in a soft gel, so if you prefer not to put it underneath your tongue, you can actually take it in a little pill, and you're going to get great results with it.
Absolutely. So yeah, frankincense. Frankincense is the king of all oils. You've seen it on pretty much every slide now. Really helps pass that blood-brain barrier and help support a proper inflammatory response. So just really calming down things within the body and supporting the brain. And then DDR Prime, which is now available in that smaller 15 ml bottle, is our cellular complex. This is really the number one oil that I suggest to start with for children on the spectrum. This is going to really help for our cells to just communicate properly between each other, also support that inflammatory response, and just get things kind of firing correctly, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, that would be my number one.
So Carrie, when we're talking about these, you're not talking about internal use of these oils when we're talking about kids on the spectrum, correct? So how do you use them?
So going back to where we talked about, well, we didn't talk about brain support specifically, but for essential oils for targeting the brain, it's going to be the back of the neck at the brain stem, kind of do an upward motion up to the hairline. And then the bottom of the big toes is that reflex point for supporting the brain.
Okay. When you can get to the toes.
When you can get to the toes. we have a shoe time routine in the morning. And you definitely want to be diluting with kiddos, especially with the oils that are a little bit more harsh, like a DDR Prime, that you're really going to want to heavily dilute. It's a really good idea, and I have it handy right here, to create some rollerball blends so that it just speeds up your morning routine if you have your oils right in a roller and don't have to worry about 20 different bottles.
Right. So taking the time once every couple of weeks or so to refill your roller balls is really going to help mamas be able to. Yeah. And now that we've got the new kids blend, a lot of these are already done.
Right.
You know, so that's what's really nice is doTERRA has given us those options as well. So these are just a couple of other things that are going to help us, even though we don't think about, you know, all the time about how we feel and how that affects our emotions. Think about the last time you were sick, or think about the last time that you had a body part that wasn't functioning correctly, and how that really made your mood, you know, usually go down. So for me, I'm going to talk about the Deep Blue products, because this was an aspect in my life that was really starting to make me not be me. I'm very active. I'm very out there. I'm very, you know, doing stuff all the time. And I was having such the inflammation in my body was just through the roof. A lot of it was because of the stress in my life. That slide that you saw with the lady that's going, that was me. Okay. That was me. And I was feeling so many of those things that were on that slide that we saw earlier about the effects of stress. So when I was introduced to Deep Blue, it was literally like a miracle for me, because my body started to react correctly, to you know, get those things to get the blood flow going, the circulation going, and to help with that proper inflammatory response in my body. So the Deep Blue polyphenols help with energy, but they also really help with that proper inflammatory response, very high in turmeric. And we now have a turmeric oil. I would also put this on this slide if I ever did this again. Our new turmeric oil is fantastic for that. But the deep blue rub, you guys, if you don't have deep blue rub, every home in America needs deep blue rub.
Yeah.
Because we all have those times when muscles and joints and the tension and the stress, it just kind of gets to us. So can't talk about these products more about how we all need this. And I know Carrie feels the same way about On Guard.
Yeah, just like you said, when you feel crappy, I was looking for it more.
Sometimes literally, right?
When you don't feel well, you don't feel well. If you don't feel well from a health standpoint, you're not going to feel well from an emotional standpoint. And so really protecting our bodies and helping support our immune system against different seasonal threats and things that are coming against us, even toxins in our environment. As you can see that doTERRA has On Guard put into all of these household products to really help green your environment and remove all of that toxic load that's really weighing us down and making us more susceptible to getting ill. I know from a personal standpoint that there's a cycle, there's a vicious cycle of I'm not feeling well, so now I am down in the dumps. And now I'm down in the dumps, so now I'm fatigued and I don't feel well. And it just goes around and around, and until we break that cycle, we're not going to feel well in all aspects of our well-being, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. We're going to be just a giant mess of just going around and around and not really living our best life. So
and
yeah, it's so important.
I'm really glad you said that, because I think I always say the first step to change is awareness. And we're hoping that this webinar that we've done is helping to increase the awareness about how you can start to take charge of your own healthcare, how you can start to take charge of really your wellness destiny and the destiny of your family as well. So, excuse me, I just wanted to throw this slide in here too, because what we're hoping is that we really made you be aware of what we can literally do to ourselves. So your emotions, they do literally become physical matter in your body. From a perspective of, what do our thoughts do to us? They literally create proteins in the brain, and your proteins create your dendrites, and your dendrites are those little things in your brain that communicate with each other to help the rest of your body to work. So literally what we're thinking is becoming physical matter in the body that will either stimulate wellness, bring life to the body, or that physical matter that we create can create toxicity, inviting in those illnesses that are going to damage your organs. So I don't care what religion you are, where you're at, this so rings true that letting that sinful nature or that negative toxic nature control your mind, it leads to death. It leads to death in the body. It leads to death of your emotions, maybe even death of relationships. But letting the spirit, letting that positive, good truth control your mind leads to life and to peace. So these essential oils do work with your body and your mind and your spirit to calm and create an environment for this positive, clear thinking. And that positive, clear environment allows you to hear the truth and to step into that person that God is really creating you to be. So when we don't feel well, when we're not thinking clearly, we are not becoming the person that the world needs. And so this is why it's so, so important for us to be able to acknowledge and experience the allness of who we are. And that's why Carrie and I really wanted to do this presentation for you today. Carrie, do you have any final thoughts?
No, it just rings so true, and from that pain and that what we've gone through, that we're able to be used to help others. It's just so humbling.
It is. It is really amazing. So we just really, really thank you for joining us, and just share this with your friends, share this with your family, those people who are really going to be affected. Please contact Carrie or I, and we would be able to talk with you anytime. You can find us on Facebook. We also have YouTube channels as well where you can find us. So please don't suffer a day longer in emotions that are not serving you well. There is a way to break this cycle without using those medications that everybody else has said is the way to do it for so long. So thank you so much for joining us.